Glad to have you back. We turn our attention now to the aviation industry, and Olumide Ohuayo, Head Research and Strategy at Zenith Travel and Consult, joins me now to share his perspectives on the industry. Good morning to you, Olumide, and thank you so much for coming in this Monday morning. Interesting times in the industry. Of course, let's start first of all with a recent talk by operators for a bailout for the industry. The federal government a couple of years ago actually came out with a bailout fund for the aviation industry, but now again they're crying for another bailout from the federal government. In line with the economic realities, should this actually be coming up now?
No. I think we're not getting tired of the perpetual cap and hand attitude of the Nigerian operators. Something must be wrong. If the government should continue, I'm somebody who's been against having a new national carrier. But if the government has to keep funding the private airlines, we can as well start a national carrier, because it's a drain, and the drain is getting too much. Why do I say this? There was been bailout given to the airline that has nothing. There's nothing to show for it. There was another set of funds that was given to them. Now there was a waiver for all spares, aircraft spares. All were meant to empower the carriers. But rather than show improvement, rather than show expansion, rather than show connectivity with their colleagues outside, rather than even show some level of international certification for these funds, what we see is indebtedness. And that's why you see today, two of the major carriers in Nigeria are being taken over by AMCON because of the debt owed to the Nigerian. Remember, these banks are owned by Nigerians, while these airlines are owned by private individuals. So, I was surprised to hear that just last week again, they're asking for bailout, this time around, not for funds to run the airline, because they know they've exhausted that in the past. Now they're asking for bailout to assist them in getting fuel. It's the same way, they're just going around in circles.
So could it be that the environment is stifling them, which is the reason why they continue to reach out for to come cap in hand, like you said, because the economic environment has made it rather difficult to operate, and so the plan B or plan D, if you'd like to put it that way, isn't probably holding water just yet.
Well, I don't want to think as the environment alone. Now, in the last 2 years, 4 new airlines were given AOC, that's the Air Operator Certificate to join, and right now we have over 15 on queue applying to join the industry. If it's that bad, why are they coming in? 4 new, and look at the 4 of the 4 airlines that were given this AOC. One had license returned by the NCA for poor safety conduct. The other one, and the second one, has just 2 aircraft having on serious schedules due to the 2 aircraft. The third one has not even taken off at all, and the last one is only one that shows some sign of seriousness.
But then, why do you think this is going to change if we have a national carrier?
I am not advocating for a national carrier per se for now, but I said if you continue to go back to the government, then invariably the government can as well take over these airlines, 1 or 2 of them, especially ones owned by AMCON, and let's use that to start the business of the national carrier. Because today, the airlines have not shown some seriousness if they keep coming back for funds from the government. And what you say, I will only go back to the government in saying that we need to work on what is the mode of entry. Because right now the rule says you must have just 2 aircraft to be an airline. That is very, very wrong. And that's the beginning of the problem. We should move beyond asking them to produce 2 aircraft to a minimum of 10. If you want to be a domestic operator, start it now. Let us bring the rules. Do not ask for them to show capital, because I know once you ask them to show capital, just like those who are going to the embassy for visa, they will just go to their banks and inflate the minimum capital. Show equipment. Let it be the basis of forming of staying as an airline. If you ask them, minimum of 10 aircraft to become a domestic carrier, that will bring some level of seriousness. And if you do that, even if we have just 3 airlines left, it's better for the country, better for the economy, and better for the passengers.
Which is the reason why I think I want to read out these figures from the National Bureau of Statistics, which was published over the weekend. About 3,710,618 passengers traveled through Nigeria's airports in the first quarter of 2015. But of this number, we had a very low turnout of domestic passengers. We had more international passengers than domestic passengers. Why do you think this happened? Is this because we have these airlines having a limited number of aircraft to use to ferry passengers locally?
Yeah, you see, before the beginning of the year, there was the online ticket sales that was generating so much interest from the Nigerians and and tourists and leisure passengers. But towards the election period, and when the dollar crisis, the exchange rate went to the roof, most of the airlines took those fares off the system. So people were not forced to buy at the normal rate at the counter. So there was this general jack-up in price in the domestic flight, and that made some of those leisure passengers to leave, and that was what you saw. Again, on the international scene, we had more people that were fleeing the country who did not know what was going to happen. The way the electionary period was running through, what we were going through here, there was so much hype about what was going to happen, and that was why you saw that the people were leaving the country at that period. That increased the international freight out of flight passengers out of Nigeria.
And they're still talking about the volume of passengers within the domestic line. Now we have a lot of passengers coming from Abuja, from Lagos, from Port Harcourt. Seems as if these are the three major cities where you have. For instance, you want to connect, make any international connection, you have to come to any of these three cities.
Yes.
But how do you think the situation can be improved? Because, I mean, we've got airlines, we've got airports in, other parts of the country. Why can't traffic, move to that direction? Why can't we have international flights, for instance, taking off from Oyo State?
Just because the country economy is dependent on the public sector. It is where the government is that makes that movement. The flights, the passenger, the movement in Abuja is not because of the economy. It's because of the seat of power. So we need to move. We need to move the economy. We need to distribute the economy. We must move from the public sector back to the private sector. We must make the public service unattractive. And in doing that, when you spread, we must do that. We must work towards that. It's so sad, and that's why I look at this. I look at the new government. The Nigerian voters voted for the new government not because of the unrealistic promises they made, but the realistic failures of the past government. And that is why they need to help. As they are working towards bringing down the cost of governance, they must move the economy from the public sector to the private sector. We have a case where when you see the foreign airlines, the business class is filled up, the first class is filled up. Everybody's talking about the fare. We have the highest fare on those routes. It's not, we have done everything, we have legislated, we have given ultimatum, the fares did not drop. The fares did not drop because the demand for those classes are high. And we need to bring some laws. The Russians have done it now. The government official can fly in the business class. The Americans are pushing the same thing. So we should do something like that here. We should remove anybody that wants to fly the business class on domestic must pay with his money. You must all fly domestic. You must fly the economic class. That you must bring that expense. You must bring that. You must reduce the attraction in the public sector. If you don't do that, we'll continue to stay and wait for the government. And that's why you see it is those triangular place where the government is. Lagos, the former capital, and the oil city. That's it. So if we move towards the private sector, if we begin to develop other sectors of the economy, people begin to see why we must go and you must not leave your company to go and sit in the House of Rep. You must not leave your company to go and sit in the Senate. Then you see that other airports, because we have companies there in all these states. But once they win an election, everybody forgets because you're going to make more money staying in government than when in your private sector.
So if that's the case now, we have a lot, we have airports in most of the states across the country, and international flights are concentrating on on the three major cities, like you already pointed out. Should there be a streamlining of these airports then? Should some of them be totally shut down, like the plans to shut down, I think, the Benin airport because it wasn't up to standard. So we have situations like that where some of these airports are actually not up to standard. Should they be shut down and flights diverted somewhere else?
Benin is being shut down now because of the runway. They're going to make some repairs on the runway. That's why Benin is going down now. You see, and it's also a fact that majority of the airports are not just viable. And that's why I was surprised when the Osun State government went into investing in an airport. Now you have a system where you cannot pay the salaries of your workers. Osun's capital is Osogbo. Ilorin is about 45 minutes away from Osogbo. Akure is about 1 hour away. Ibadan, same time, but 1 hour away. Why are you going to invest in an airport facility? Who's going to fly into that? And those three airports I just mentioned are failed. Probably Ilorin has a flight schedule. The other two, Ibadan is struggling. Akure has none at the moment. So why did the Osun State government move into that? But see, looking at the airport itself, most of this, all these airports, except for a few, are owned by the federal government. Now, FAN cannot continue to hold those airports together. So we should start looking about this clustering. Now, if you're going to take one from Lagos, which is viable, you take all the surrounding, somebody takes all the surrounding airports within the southwest, along with it, so you don't leave some airport, because if you ask people to come for position and they will all go for the three airports you have mentioned, nobody will come for this airport. So you must be part of the country. If you're taking the big one, you take the small and the weak ones.
So in looking at this now, should there alternatively be private airports?
There are private airports. There are private airports in place.
Owned by the states?
Owned by
or
states.
by
yes.
individuals?
Owned by states.
So apart from having the states own this airports, why can't we have individuals come up, with the federal government giving them an enabling environment to put their business down?
Yes, I think the only way now is for them to key into the Federal Authority of Nigeria. But as at the moment, government is holding on to the organization. Is not ready to hands up, because that's about the money making agency in the industry. But I feel that if government does not want to hand off, we can call in an airport management company, international airport management company, to come and take FAN itself as a whole. If they cannot prepare the organization and the airports for eventual privatization in future, or partial privatization involving the public and private. But I think we need an international airport holding company to come in place, reorganize FAN itself.
That's reorganized FAN.
Itself, the body managing the airports. Thereafter, the organization moves from the body to the airports. After that period, you cannot be looking at options. Are you going to go for a PPP? Do you want to privatize? Do you want to own? I think what the result of the new managers, what is done, will be able to tell us the right. But as we are going, we definitely cannot say it's a rule yet, and we will not get there the way FAN is presently structured. Because all you have is, once you appoint a new person, the only thing they do is bring in their acolytes, their sons, daughters, and political godfathers and sons, just throw them in. And today, what do you have? You have staff are more, the non-technical staff are higher than the technical staff. And that is what is going through all the agencies. You have more politicians than professionals. And they're not able, they don't bring these professionals to come out to come to level 8 or level 9. You see them at level 15, level 14, just take it all over the place. So even those who have been in the system cannot even grow.
So that means
there's so much frustration in the system.
It also means that the federal government's plans, at least for the immediate past government, to rule private sector to invest about they said about $5 billion in Nigeria's aviation industry in the next 3 years. It seems to be on the shaky grounds.
Absolutely. They were not able to attract it. All they brought was the loan from the Chinese company, and the Chinese company worked in with the suppliers and their contractors who was handling the loan that they gave to us. That's what we got. And the others are all the other debts from the airports under the transformation period. We did not see any investment. The airlines are in trouble. There's virtually no strong airline right now. All have issues. So where did the investment come into? Is there any airport you can see? What we were made to believe, we were deceived that the private jets, the private sector, the private jet operators was an industry that was growing. And they came up with the fastest growing. Nigeria was the fastest growing private jet industry in the world, and we all clapped. But now the hen has come to roost. We noticed that, yes, it's true, we had about 190 private jets. We have almost 190 private jets in the country, but it's not a true reflection of the economy. It's not a true reflection of the industry. It's not a true reflection of the strength of revenue generated, because during that period, that's last 6 years, this sector was not properly monitored. The revenue from that place was not properly captured. So they were just coming in with the aircraft, coming with the personnel, and enjoying themselves to the detriment of the general aviation.
Well, Olumide, we'll continue with this conversation, and hopefully when we come back, there'll be something more positive to talk about the aviation industry. The conversation with Olumide continues after this break. Please join me again.